A South African company has made its own COVID-19 vaccine, according to its executives on Thursday. The company, called Afrigen, says it's used Moderna data to design, develop, and produce the first mRNA-type vaccine for COVID-19 on the African continent. It would mean a cheaper, patent-free version of the shot. The WHO hired the company last year, one of several chosen in a pilot program to help low- and middle-income countries crack the code of COVID vaccines. UN health official Charles Gore said Afrigen should help change perceptions of African nations' capabilities.
If this project shows that Africa can take cutting-edge technology and produce cutting-edge products with it, that will banish this idea Africa can't do it.
Afrigen used the publicly available sequence of Moderna's mRNA vaccine. However, the company's managing director, Petro Terblanche, made it clear it's a uniquely designed vaccine. She said, quote, "We haven't copied Moderna. We've developed our own processes because Moderna didn't give us any technology." The WHO launched the project after Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna declined their request to share tech and expertise. However, Moderna pledged not to enforce patents during the pandemic. Moderna had no immediate comment on Afrigen's Thursday announcement. The WHO hopes its hub in Cape Town will help overcome vaccine inequalities between rich and poor countries. Some 99% of Africa's vaccines against all diseases are imported, and the negligible remainder is manufactured locally. Afrigen announced its vaccine could be tested on humans before the end of the year.
We object to what is taking place today, the release of Jason Van Dyke. He was slapped on the wrist when he first got a sentence. If Laquan McDonald was white, and if Jason Van Dyke was black, we wouldn't even be standing here today. There would have been no easy sentence. There would have been no coming here and getting out.
We're demanding a full-scale investigation and prosecution. Now, we also made this demand in 2016. So we're asking the Department of Justice to give us a status on it. We want to go forward with this. Under federal statutes, Title 18, Section 242, he can be indicted for murder, tried and prosecuted. And that's exactly what we want.
It's time to fund community policing to protect and serve the community.
U.S. President Joe Biden was in New York City Thursday, appearing with Mayor Eric Adams in an effort to confront gun violence, which has surged in U.S. cities since the start of the pandemic. Last month, 2 NYPD officers were fatally shot in the line of duty.
Every day in this country, 316 people are shot, 106 are killed, 64 children injured by gun violence so far this year, 26 killed. It's enough.
With more guns than people, the United States is by far the most heavily armed society in the world, and sales to first-time buyers skyrocketed in 2020. Biden reiterated his 5-part plan unveiled in June that sought to stem the flow of firearms and invest in police resources. He also announced new efforts like targeting gun trafficking across state lines and getting repeat gun offenders off the streets.
It's about doing background checks. This doesn't violate anybody's Second Amendment right. There's no violation of a Second Amendment right. We talk like there's no amendment that's absolute. When the amendment was passed, it didn't say anybody can own a gun and any kind of gun and any kind of weapon. You couldn't buy a cannon when this amendment was passed. And so no reason why you should be able to buy certain assault weapons.
Biden and Attorney General Merrick Garland, who also made the trip to New York City, said they'll crack down on so-called ghost guns, unregistered and untraceable homemade weapons that can be made with a 3D printer. Adams, a former police officer, praised Biden's push toward justice, safety, and prosperity.
Far too long we called for backup, and it was not here. It is time to have that backup.
The visit comes as the White House and Democrats are pushing back on Republican accusations that the party is weak on crime before critical midterm elections in November.
What I can tell you is that, first of all, we've discussed this idea of false flags by the Russians before. We've made no secret of that. And we do have information that it is that the Russians are likely to want to fabricate a pretext for an invasion, which again is right out of their playbook. One option is the Russian government, we think, is planning to stage a fake attack by Ukrainian military or intelligence forces against Russian sovereign territory or against Russian-speaking people to therefore justify their action. As part of this fake attack, we believe that Russia would produce a very graphic propaganda video, which would include corpses and actors that would be depicting mourners and images of destroyed locations as well as military equipment at the hands of Ukraine or the West, even to the point where some of this equipment would be made to look like it was Western supplied Ukrainian to Ukraine equipment. This is just one example that we can talk about today. We're watching this across the board. We've seen these kinds of activities by the Russians in the past, and we believe it's important when we see it like this, and we can, to call it out.
The global security and economic risks posed by further Russian aggression would be enormous, and they would have consequences not only on Ukraine, Europe, the transatlantic community, but on the PRC as well. If Russia thinks that it will be in a position to make up some of those consequences, to mitigate some of those consequences by a closer relationship with the PRC, that is not the case. It will actually make the Russian economy in many ways more brittle. If you look at, for example, where the major inputs to foundational technologies come from, they still come from the West. If you deny yourself the ability to transact with the West, to import with the West from Europe, from the United States, you are going to significantly degrade your productive capacity. We have an array of tools that we can deploy. If we see foreign companies, including those in China, doing their best to backfill U.S. export control actions, to evade them, to get around them. I wouldn't want to speculate on what those tools are, but we do have tools that can address that, and that would seek to account for that.